As the morning sun reached the middle family, Xiao Yan happened to run into Hai Bodong and Ya, who were preparing to go out. Hehe, you little brat. As soon as Hai Bodong saw Xiao Yan, he chuckled. Just as he was about to greet him, his gaze fell upon the beautiful and somewhat exotic face behind Xiao Yan. His face twitched, and he coughed, saying, I was just about to send someone to find you. I've already contacted the royal family, the Mu family, and the Nalan family. Today, we will discuss some cooperation matters at the Alchemist Guild. Xiao Yan smiled and nodded, patting the head of Xia Yan beside him, fearing that this little girl would be taken by Medusa to steal someone else's medicinal materials, so he could only bring her along. However, he was somewhat speechless about Medusa's presence. It seemed that she was very interested in Xia Yan. Xiao Yan, who is this? Ya, who had been wearing a gentle smile, was taken aback when she saw Medusa following closely behind Xiao Yan. Then she smiled casually and asked, a friend, you can call her Kai Lin. Under the gaze of Ya's watery peach blossom eyes, Xiao Yan seemed to sense something amiss, so he could only give a vague response. Hehe, turns out she's Miss Kai Lin. Upon hearing this, Ya raised her elegant eyebrows, took a few steps forward, and her peach blossom eyes stared at Medusa's perfect and exquisite face, which even made her feel amazed. She smiled and said, Miss Kai Lin is truly beautiful. No wonder you are with Xiao Yan, little brother. On the side, hearing Ya's words, Xiao Yan was stunned. She made it sound like he was after someone's beauty. Today, Ya seemed a bit different from yesterday. As a man, Xiao Yan might find it difficult to notice some small thoughts of women. But Medusa sensed a hint of hostility and wariness in Ya's words and demeanor. Her long eyelashes blinked gently, and a lazy gaze swept over Xiao Yan and Ya. She vaguely sensed that this beautiful woman had some special feelings towards Xiao Yan. Thinking about it, somehow, Medusa couldn't help but frown her willow eyebrows and felt a strange emotion rising within her. This emotion made her slightly annoyed. Therefore, she turned to Xiao Yan, and her voice turned cold. Enough with the small talk. Let's get to the point. Seeing Medusa's sudden coldness, Xiao Yan was also taken aback. He then looked at the faces of both women and couldn't help but wonder why they seemed a bit off today. Hai Bodong, on the other hand, was quite astute. He noticed that there was a slight unfriendliness between Ya and Medusa, so he coughed awkwardly, quickly pulled Ya behind him, and thought that if that ferocious beauty snake suddenly attacked, Ya might not be able to withstand even a single move. Ya, today, all the auction houses of the family will reopen. It's a bit troublesome. You should go and handle it. I and Xiao Yan and the others will go to the Alchemist Guild. Upon hearing Hai Bodong's instruction, although Ya was somewhat unwilling, she could only nod. However, before leaving, she came to Xiao Yan's side, saw his slightly disheveled clothes, and reached out her snow-white, delicate hand to gently fix them. She said gently, little guy, don't act rashly during the negotiation. It's good enough if you can win a helper. Even if you have to use them as cannon fodder later, it's acceptable. You're not only carrying the fate of the Xiao family now. Also, you still owe me a favor, don't forget. Sniffing the faint fragrance coming from Ya and feeling the soft and comfortable touch of her snow-white delicate hand on his body, Xiao Yan felt a slight tremor in his heart. Revealing a bright smile with white teeth, he said, of course, I won't forget. When we parted ways before, I promised that even if you want to be the queen in the future, I'll do my best to help you. Ya smiled charmingly, covering her mouth and chuckling, I'm not interested in becoming the queen. Seeing the playful interaction between the two, Hai Bodong couldn't help but dryly laugh. He could sense that the beautiful Medusa's expression was getting colder. Alright, I'll go first. You guys should hurry to the Alchemist Guild. My intelligence network has been keeping an eye on the Cloud sect recently. As soon as there's any news, I'll inform you. Patting Xiao Yan's head lightly, Ya didn't linger any longer and turned around. She glanced at Medusa with a hint of excitement in her slightly raised red lips. Watching the swaying figure slowly disappear from view, Xiao Yan turned his head and said to Medusa with a smile, let's go. If you haven't seen enough, you can follow her and take a closer look. Medusa glanced at Xiao Yan sideways and sneered, then turned around and walked toward the mansion's entrance. This woman. Why is she acting so strange today? Looking at Medusa's retreating figure, Xiao Yan shook his head and couldn't help but feel bewildered. She's just jealous. Don't all women like to be this way? Hai Bodong laughed and then gave Xiao Yan a thumbs up. Kid, you're good. You actually managed to tame the fierce Medusa. In one word, impressive. Jealous? Upon hearing this, Xiao Yan couldn't help but chuckle and then shook his head. He never thought that Medusa would have such emotions. And tamed? Forget it, who knows, maybe when that agreed upon year comes, she'll turn around and kill him. This little girl. She seems to be a little different too. Hai Bodong's gaze suddenly stopped on the little girl in a white dress who was holding Xiao Yan's hand. He was surprised and found that, with his strength, he couldn't fully understand the depths of this little girl. Old man, don't stare. Otherwise, I'll let Sister Kai Lin beat you up. When she noticed Hai Bodong's gaze sweeping over, Xia Yan became somewhat unhappy, pouting her small mouth. Xiao Yan smiled and patted Zia Yan's head, then turned to Aoba Dong and laughed, don't underestimate Zia Yan. Among the Do Wangs, there are probably very few who can be her match. Even some Do Huangs might not fare well against her fists. Hearing this, a hint of surprise flashed in Haibuodong's eyes. Could this little girl possess such terrifying strength? Not dwelling on Haibuodong's astonishment, Xiao Yan smiled and did not elaborate on Zi Yan's background. He was well aware of her remarkable potential, and once he successfully refined the transformation pill in the future, her strength would likely be on par with Medusa's. Her fearsome brute strength even made Xiao Yan cautious. He could foresee that Zi Yan would become a significant asset to him in the future, although that day might still be far away. Let's go to the Alchemist Guild, Xiao Yan yawned lazily. Not wanting to linger on the topic any further, he turned his gaze towards the direction of the Alchemist Guild and said with a faint smile, let's go and meet those old acquaintances. I wonder if, after 3 years, there will be a sense of nostalgia when we see them. Haibuodong chuckled at Xiao Yan's remarks. Back then, you were just a small doja, and now, you are a super existence capable of easily killing a Do Huang. That's quite a transformation. As for that Guyi Tian, he's still lingering around the peak of the Do Huang class even after 3 years, but you, my boy, have changed significantly. Xiao Yan smiled back, walking alongside Zi Yan, who seemed curious. Together, they made their way out of the middle family. Xiao Yan looked towards the Alchemist Guild, feeling a touch of emotion. 3 years ago, he had experienced a challenging alchemy competition here. At that time, he could barely be considered a 3rd-tier alchemist who could refine 4th-grade pills. But now, he was a 6th-tier alchemist capable of rivaling Dan King Guhi. The progress he had made was nothing short of astounding. As they entered the Alchemist Guild, the noise from behind them gradually faded away, and a faint medicinal fragrance filled the air, giving a refreshing feeling. Over the past 3 years, with more and more alchemists joining the Alchemist Guild, it had grown significantly in both strength and numbers. Compared to 3 years ago, the guild now had a much larger flow of people. As they stepped into the guild, Haibuodong left Xiao Yan to make some preparations. Xiao Yan, feeling sentimental about the place he hadn't visited in 3 years, held Zi Yan's hand and strolled towards the trading area he remembered from before. Here, with a discerning eye and a bit of luck, one might find some excellent items. Xiao Yan's 3 mysterious flame change had been obtained in this place by chance. As they entered the trading area, Xiao Yan's gaze suddenly paused when he saw a distant figure in snowy white attire. This familiar back reminded him of Fakelon Sect's branch leader's disciple, Shui Mei, whom he had met in Blackrock City 3 years ago, recalling the old days. Xiao Yan felt a bit nostalgic but chose not to approach her. He knew her identity and that she was not just an ordinary disciple. Back then, Fakelon had helped him a lot, although their ultimate goal was to have him participate in the Alchemist Grand Meeting. Still, they had no ill intentions towards him. He also had a decent impression of Shui Mei, the cold and beautiful girl, after a moment of contemplation. Xiao Yan withdrew his gaze and continued to lead Zi Yan through the bustling crowd. Soon after Xiao Yan merged into the crowd, Shui Mei, who was originally engrossed in examining a medicinal ingredient, turned her head as if sensing something. Her slightly puzzled expression made some passersby slow down and glance at her curiously, their eyes filled with greed. Not bothered by the surrounding gazes, Shui Mei furrowed her delicate brows slightly. Soon after, she gently waded through the crowd before disappearing completely. Walking hand in hand with Zi Yan through the crowded streets filled with vendors, Xiao Yan's gaze swept over the various stalls, but after nearly 10 minutes, he still hadn't found anything that interested him. All of this is just junk, Zi Yan muttered, wrinkling her nose in displeasure. The medicinal pills she usually consumed were made from extremely rare herbs that most ordinary people would find extraordinary. In her eyes, common herbs were as good as trash. In this situation, Xiao Yan felt helpless. It seemed that getting some treasures similar to the Heavenly Flame 3 mysterious changes here was indeed dependent on luck. Since he had no gains, Xiao Yan gave up the hope and was about to leave. However, just as he was turning around, a commotion not far ahead caught his attention. Occasional sneers and strange laughter could be heard from the crowd. Normally, Xiao Yan wasn't interested in such spectacles, so he glanced briefly and intended to leave. However, just as he was about to step away, a clear and angry voice rang out from the crowd, causing him to halt. Through the crowd, he vaguely saw a figure in snow-white clothes. Xiao Yan looked at Zi Yan with a helpless expression and said, "It seems like we can't just walk away like this." Saying that, he quickly walked with Zi Yan towards the commotion. After a moment, they squeezed into the crowd and looked inside. In the midst of the crowd stood Shui Mei. Her beautiful face, usually pale, was now filled with anger. Not far in front of her, several men dressed in alchemist robes were laughing and teasing her, causing her cheeks to turn red from anger. "Aoba, don't go too far. Just because your teacher is an elder in the guild, you think you can act so arrogantly?" Shui Mei pointed at the leader of the group of men and scolded angrily. "Shui Mei, the trading area is a place where the highest bidder wins. I can offer a higher price than you, so naturally, this item will be mine. Even if you bring this matter to the guild leader, there's nothing you can do." In response to Shui Mei's reprimand, the man wearing a 2-star alchemist badge on his chest laughed. After that, he turned to the stall owner and said, "I'll offer 50,000 gold coins for this ice fire snake scale fruit." Do you want to sell it to me? Hearing Aoba's offer, the stall owner was overjoyed. While the ice fire snake scale fruit was rare, it was worth no more than 20,000 gold coins. He didn't expect this extravagant person to offer double the price, so naturally, he had no reason to refuse. Watching Aoba wave the ice fire snake scale fruit in his hand, Shuemei, her face flushed with anger, bit her silver teeth. She had just come out of seclusion and had been negotiating the price with the stall owner for the medicinal herb she needed for her pill refinement. Unexpectedly, right after the price was settled, this annoying fellow appeared like a ghost. Aoba had pursued Shuemei in the past because of her beauty, but she had rejected him publicly several times. Although he failed, this stubborn guy became extremely displeased. Since then, he had been finding trouble for Shuemei in various ways. Today's situation was not the first time it happened. Taking a deep breath, Shuemei gazed at Aoba's increasingly obnoxious and triumphant face. She had underestimated his ability to take advantage of her tolerance. Every time he found an opportunity, he would create trouble. However, she couldn't directly retaliate against him because his teacher, despite being a recent addition to the guild, held considerable power as a skilled alchemist. His status in the guild, second only to the guild leader and vice leader, made it difficult for Shuemei to take action against him. Feeling disgusted by this situation, Shuemei reluctantly decided to give up the ice fire snake scale fruit. Grimacing at Aoba, Shuemei was about to turn and leave. However, just as she turned around, a voice suddenly rang out from the crowd. I'll offer 100,000 gold coins for this ice fire snake scale fruit. The laughter subsided, and the onlookers were startled. They quickly shifted their gazes to a young man dressed in a black robe, accompanied by a little girl with purple hair. Some people couldn't help but show pity in their eyes. Wasn't this person new? How dare he challenge Aoba? The laughter made Snowshade turn her head and look at the black-robed youth. His slightly familiar face made her pause, and after a moment, she finally recalled this young man who left a considerable impression on her. You? Weren't you chased away? Snowshade exclaimed in surprise, but quickly swallowed her words when she noticed the onlookers around them. Smiling, Xiao Yan stepped out of the crowd and observed Snowshade for a moment. How's Master Fulren doing? Master is doing well. Snowshade nodded and tugged at Xiao Yan's sleeve, whispering, didn't you leave the Jiama Empire? You should leave quickly. Don't offend this guy. Due to her seclusion, she had no knowledge of the events that had become the biggest news in the Jiama Empire during the past 2 days. Snowshade only knew that Xiao Yan was a wanted fugitive by the Yunlan sect, and if they found him, the outcome wouldn't be pleasant. Oh. Are you here to play the hero and save the beauty? As Xiao Yan spoke, the color on Aoba's face gradually darkened, and he sneered while tightly gripping the ice fire snake scale fruit in his hand. I've already purchased this item. You should just roll away. I advise you not to meddle in other people's affairs. Otherwise, you might get into the imperial capital, but you won't be able to leave. Seeing Aoba's arrogant face, Xiao Yan smiled faintly, choosing not to waste words. He raised his palm and pointed it at Aoba from a distance, creating a sudden suction force that forcefully drew the ice fire snake scale fruit towards him. Damn brat, seeking death. Witnessing Xiao Yan's sudden move, Aoba couldn't maintain his composure. He shouted furiously, waving his hand, and the dozen or so men around him pounced at Xiao Yan like hungry tigers. With a nonchalant wave of his sleeve, Xiao Yan released a powerful gust of wind that fiercely struck the chests of the approaching men, sending them flying and crashing into the crowd, causing chaos and cries of pain. Aoba's face changed drastically as he was about to berate them. However, a figure suddenly appeared before him, a black robe floating mysteriously. A slender hand gently landed on his chest, and a cold voice sounded in his ear, causing him to break out in a cold sweat. Nowadays, the Alchemist Guild may have more and more people, but it also has more and more trash. Today, let me help Master Fulren clean up a bit. As the voice fell, the hand on Aoba's chest erupted with a powerful force.